Hey guys, welcome to the weekly question video. If you want to leave us a question, details on how to do that is down below, as well as ways to support the channel and get bonus content if that is something that you're interested in. Today's question is, how do Coda and I handle disagreements? This kind of plays into the discussion that we had last week on the question video, where I was talking about what happens if I don't agree with the fact that I'm going to be punished, because at the core that is a type of disagreement, but this kind of extends to other areas of our relationship as well. Having disagreements, having these kind of things come up is going to happen in any relationship. We're not always going to agree on everything because we're two different people with two different perspectives, two different opinions on everything. And so there's going to be disagreements. But with the dynamic structure of domestic discipline, we have to navigate how we disagree and what that looks like a little bit differently than people that maybe don't have this dynamic. So the first thing that we have to do is recognize that even in disagreements, even when we're not seeing eye to eye with each other, that there has to be respect. First and foremost, I am never allowed to use any type of situation as an excuse to be disrespectful to Coda. I'm expected to speak respectfully. I'm expected to present myself respectfully. I'm expected to honor the fact that he still has authority in our relationship, even when I disagree with something and we're having a harder conversation. So that's the first step, is to maintain respect. The second step is to communicate effectively. It's okay if we're not seeing eye to eye, and it's okay for me to communicate my perspective and my opinion with respect, but also effective communication. I have to be able to let Coda know why I have the opinion I have, why I'm seeing it from that perspective, why I think things should be a certain way or done a certain way. I need to be able to communicate that effectively. And in turn, he needs to be able to communicate effectively why he is coming from it from his perspective and with his opinion, and why he's asking me to do something a certain way. And so that effective communication really is key. The third aspect is, sometimes we're not going to be able to come to into agreement. Ideally, we both are able to communicate effectively, be respectful to one another, and come into an agreement on the conclusion to whatever that disagreement was, right? That's ideal. But sometimes we're not going to come into an agreement, and that is when I, as the taken in hand, have to kind of relinquish that control and that decision to my head of household, because it is within his role to make that final decision and to lead in that way. Now, once he makes the decision, I need to accept that decision. I need to come under that authority, and I need to support his decision. Sometimes it's really hard, even if I can agree that he gets to make the decision, and even if I can yield to that decision, supporting his decision really is an essential step there. And what that means is that I come under his authority and I accept his decision as if it were my own. And so I'm not giving him resistance. I'm not giving him any type of negative attitude or action. I'm not resisting. I really am supporting his decision, going along with it as if it were the decision that I would have made. And that can be really, really difficult, but that really is essential to accepting and honoring that decision of your head of household, is to really come under that decision and move forward as if it were the decision that you would have made, to really accept and support his decision. the other half of that is that once Coda has made that final decision, the discussion is over. I need to stop trying to convince him that I'm right. I need to stop trying to share my perspective or share the information. I need to just say, okay, he's made the decision, so now it's time to just get behind that decision. I think it's really important as a taken in hand to share your perspective. One of the roles of a taken in hand is to help your head of household. And so you need to be able to give them information, give them your perspective, give them your knowledge on whatever the situation is, so that they can effectively make the decision with all of that knowledge. It would be very unkind of me to expect Coda to be able to make every decision for our household with only his perspective and with only his knowledge. He really does need my perspective, my knowledge, my opinion. He needs all of that so that he can then make the best decision for our entire household. So there is no, it is a good thing for a taken in hand to share her opinion, but once that decision is made, that's when that time is over. Once our head of household has made that decision, once they have taken in that information and have made that final decision, it is then inappropriate and disrespectful to continue to abdicate for what we would have chosen or what we want. And so that's how we handle disagreements, is that we, come to each other, we communicate effectively with respect. The respect is so essential, especially in these moments, because when you disagree, there's a tendency, or at least a temptation, to get upset, especially when the other person isn't exactly seeing things exactly the way you do, and you have a tendency to get upset with that. And so it's really important to maintain respect in those situations. So be respectful, communicate effectively, let your head of household know all of your opinions, all of your perspectives, if it's appropriate. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But then once they make that final decision, stop trying to negotiate, stop trying to abdicate, stop trying to share your perspective and opinion, really accept their decision as the final decision and support their decision by coming behind them and coming alongside them and really doing what you need to do to create a successful situation with that. Act as if their decision was the decision that you would have made. And so don't give them any pushback. Don't dig in your heels. Don't give them any resistance. Don't be part of the reason why things fall apart, and don't be part of the reason why they get frustrated. Really understand that they have that final decision-making power, and it's our job as the taken in hand to accept, honor that decision, and obey them. And so we really do need to come behind their decisions and give them our support, give them our obedience, and really just get behind them and give them our support and all of that. I really think that is one way a taken in hand can undermine the authority of her head of household without even realizing it, is by having an attitude that he's made a bad decision and kind of carrying that attitude into the situation. And so we really need to understand that even if our head of household makes a decision that we don't necessarily like, we need to have the attitude that they made a good decision and that we're going to do what we can to make sure that what they decided ends up being the best thing for us. And so I hope that kind of clears it up. I will say that Coda and I don't disagree a lot. When we were first married, we didn't have domestic discipline, and So, I mean, I think that there were more disagreements because that was kind of the stage of life we were in. We were kind of getting to know what it meant to be married, what it meant to be a couple, what it meant to cohabitate one space. But we also didn't have domestic discipline, so we were trying to navigate how was our relationship going to look and what do we want that to be like. And so we definitely disagreed more in our early relationship, but we disagree less and less, and part of that is the fact that we've been married for a very long time now. We're coming up on 17 years of marriage, so that's part of the reason we don't disagree very often, and part of it is because now that we have domestic discipline, we have this structure in place and we have very clear expectations of our roles, and so there's less room to have big disagreements, but they still do happen from time to time, and so we still have to navigate that, and these are the things that we keep in mind in order to do so. So hope that helps. Hope you got something from it. Again, if you want to leave us a question, leave it in the comments or email us, and we will talk to you guys next time.